It's open season in New York City's mayoral race. New contenders joining the fray on a regular basis. Two of them explain why they think they should replace Eric Adams. The Point starts right now. Scott Stringer ran for mayor once before. Now he thinks the second time is the charm. So what are you going to do differently?
I'm going to win this time.
A good answer, but how?
Well, look, I think people understand what the next mayor has to do and the kind of person it ought to be. And I bring 30 years of government service to the hope that we can finally clean up the city and the corruption, actually get things accomplished in affordable housing and education. And so I'm going to use my experience to tell voters I think I can do a really good job. I've been the controller for 8 years. I know the finances. I've been Manhattan Borough President. I know land use and zoning. I served, as you know, in the state legislature, where I was the most independent legislator at that time period. Put it all together, I'm ready to serve. I've got skin in the game. I got 2 young kids in this city. They're going to public school, and the campaign is attracting millions of dollars from thousands of low-dollar contributors, and I'm excited, Marcia.
Well, let's talk issues. The first up, asylum seekers and the threat by the president-elect to deport people. What are you going to do about it if you're mayor?
Well, look, Eric Adams blamed the migrants on a Monday for the budget crisis. Then he praised them on a Tuesday. Then he had a whole new opinion on Wednesday. He's bounced around migrants who've come to this city. The shelter system is in disarray. The paperwork's not getting done. We need a mayor who's going to manage this crisis to make it a positive for the city. And look, Trump will do his thing, but this is where you need a mayor who knows how to play chess, not checkers. And I will meet him anywhere to make sure that we resolve some of these issues.
But here's the question. What level of cooperation would a Mayor Stringer give to a president who's intent on deporting people?
We are a city that has always honored our immigrants. We're a city that is aspirational for people who come here. Some people come here because they're fleeing persecutions. Other people want a better life, and I'm not going to be the mayor that is going to become part of, become Eric Adams, what Eric Adams is doing, which is basically become the Trump guy. I'll fight Trump when he tries to deport people. I'll fight Trump if he tries to hurt our people. The mayor has to represent everybody, and it's really a shame that Eric Adams is basically campaigning for a pardon and is willing to say anything and everything in order to get sprung, so to speak.
But what about those migrants who've come here and have committed some high-profile crimes? And would you protect them as well?
Look, anyone who commits a crime should go to jail, especially dangerous people. But the issue, right...
Should they be deported after they do jail?
I think we have to let the judicial system work it out. Obviously, you don't want people who are committing crimes in our city. I say lock them up. I say we need more police presence, more police protection in this city. I think we have to align policing and mental health services. But I think by focusing in on vulnerable migrants or picking a few who may be bad actors, doesn't really make the point here, right? We want to be a city for everybody. It's the most diverse city in the world, and picking on vulnerable people who are coming here may be a good soundbite, but it's not what this city is all about.
But I guess, you have a situation where public safety is key to almost everybody you talk to, and there have been a number of high-profile instances that have involved asylum seekers or migrants, and the question is, what level of cooperation do you, if you were mayor, do for people who are, with federal agents who may want to deport them? I'm not doing
Trump's bidding. If he wants to be helpful and protect the city, send us more money so we can align mental health services and policing. Marcia, I grew up here in the 70s. I mean, I'm a real New Yorker. I remember when there were 2,000 murders a year. I remember my mother saying to my brother and I, when we took the A train, sit in the conductor car, it's dangerous, I worry about you. I have the same concerns about my 2 kids as well. And I want to do everything as mayor to make sure we keep the city safe. I'm not going back to the way I grew up. We're going to be tough and smart on crime, but we're also going to solve problems. Look, there are people who are living on our subways who are homeless. They're living on the subways.
What are you going to do about them?
And they're dying in front of us.
What are you going to do about them?
I'm going to really align mental health services with the police. I want to put police officers walking the trains with trained counselors who can help remove people from the subway to a supportive housing bed, to one of our 11 public hospitals, and I will work on this every single day. Look, I'm the candidate in this race who brings 30 years experience, 30 years, to these problems. I've audited every city agency. I know the weaknesses. I know where the bodies are buried. And if we're going to make change, we can't keep talking about it. We actually have to do it.
Does that mean we need more cops?
We need more cops, and if we need a specific amount of cops, I'll provide them. I'll reach out and get that police force up and running. But, you know, it's not just the cops. We all know we need mental health services. Adams has failed on this. The public hospitals have failed. His
Has the
whole
governor also failed?
And the governor has not given us the resources we need because she's becoming an Adams apologist. And I look forward to working with the governor in a real way to solve these problems. By the way, the election a year from now, we will straighten out this city. We only need one good election to turn it around, and we're about to have it.
So moving right along to housing, which is another major concern for people in the city. The city of Yes, mayor just passed a program to build about 80,000 units of housing. Good idea, bad idea. Not everybody's happy. They're concerned about the fact that parking spaces are going to be taken in certain neighborhoods. Your position on that?
Oh, those are some of those ideas that were passed in the City of Yes were ideas that I introduced as Manhattan Borough President, especially on parking. But look, 80,000 units over 15 years, we'll see if they actually get to 80,000. I think this is a pretty much a benign, watered-down plan. But the concept of increasing density will eventually sort of give our middle class pressures, will alleviate some of that middle class pressure, because the more housing you build, the less the rents will be. But I want to make it clear, that's half the loaf. The real challenge is, what are we going to do for working New Yorkers who are low-income New Yorkers?
Rent freeze?
The people who are leaving the city. You know, it's not the billionaires who are leaving; it's the people who make 30,000.
Out-migration is a huge problem.
Huge. So how do we keep people here? We need to give them a roof over their head and an affordable housing unit.
How do you do that?
I'll tell you how we do it. We do it the way Mayor LaGuardia did it. We build public housing again, the way we did it under the Lindsay administration.
Nitro housing?
I'm going to get to it, but we build Mitchell-Lama 2.0. I did the audits.
Mitchell-Lama is middle class.
Well, public housing is for low-income people. Middle class is Mitchell-Lama. We did this in the past. Now, I audited the vacant land that the city owns, 1,000 vacant properties. Why not give that land to not-for-profits and for people who know how to build affordable housing? It's our land. Don't give it to the rich developer. Give it to the people so we can afford, with subsidy, to build the low-income housing.
Where does the money come for that?
The money comes from the money we have right now. We have money stuck in HPD and other agencies. They've been so slow to build housing, so there's a bucket there. There are other ideas I have to do that, but it starts with a premise that we have vacant land. Who's going to get that vacant land? Let's do what LaGuardia and Lindsay and others have done, and Michael Bloomberg and Bill de Blasio, and build low-income, affordable, middle-class housing.
Are you talking about vacant land on NYCHA properties? There's a lot of land there, or are we talking about taking parkland or other things?
You're looking at the actual vacancies that exist today. We see parcels of land that are vacant, totally vacant. And we should use that land to build the kind of low-income housing we need.
Why wasn't that in the
Stringer
City of
plan.
Yes?
Well, I'm not the mayor yet. It's coming. It's coming.
But would you also ask the federal government to help build NYCHA housing?
Look, we're going to have a real challenge, let's face it, with the Trump administration. We actually need $40 billion just to repair the existing buildings. So we're going to have to be very creative with state money and city money in order to get through the crisis. I'm not going to promise a lot of success coming out of the Trump administration.
What about the state dollars? We have about 30 seconds left.
That's our hope. We're going to have to work with Governor Hochul. We're going to have to work in the city and start creating a plan that is a little long-term.
But she already gave $5 billion for the City of Yes.
Well, we have a lot more to do, and there's a lot more that has to happen. We have to fix NYCHA, keep it up and running. Obviously, when Hakeem Jeffries is Speaker, we'll have a friendly Congress, and that'll help too.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but up next is Republican contender Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa also ran for mayor once before as a Republican. Are his chances any better this time? Curtis, are your chances any better this time?
Oh, much so, because I was that lone voice out there warning everyone about Eric Adams, that he was not what he pretended to be. And we've seen chaos in 3 years. As a Democrat, he encouraged the migrants to come in. Crime is out of control. We have a depleted police department. So he's not fulfilled any of his promises. And now he seeks re-election. But do we know really what he is? Is he a Republican? Is he a Democrat? Who is Eric Adams? That's what I want to know. Who is he? Because he certainly hasn't lived up to his advertising.
So why are you the best person for the job right now?
I think because I have my fingers into the core of the city. That is the streets, the subways, the places that have been forgotten by Eric Adams and his administration. The people in the many neighborhoods of the city. I've yet to run into any neighborhood where people feel safer, where people feel their quality of life is improved. And if anything, I run across people who are always talking about leaving. Because of fear, they continue the flight. And my job as mayor is to improve and encourage people not to move. Because if they move, the working class move out of the city of New York, the city is depleted.
So do you think that you have a better chance because of Donald Trump's success in New York? He got 44% of the vote in a city that's supposedly a blue city. So does that help you at all?
Well, Donald Trump, an amazing job. 44% in the state, 30% in the city. Lee Zeldin and I got 28% when we ran in the city. I was the first Republican ever running for mayor to win the Asian vote. That was a major victory. And now, as you can see, the Latino vote is up for grabs. So there's a very real chance that this whole myth that a Republican cannot win the mayoralty of the city of New York will end in this election cycle.
Michael Bloomberg's first term, he ran as a Republican, and he won.
Right, but Michael Bloomberg, as you know, was able to get elected after, unfortunately, an attack on 9/11. Prior to that, he was going to lose, even with all of his resource. What you have to do is you have to be in the neighborhoods. You have to fight this city of yes, which only helps the developers. And it's the socialists who want to take people's personal homes away to build up these tall apartment buildings that rob us of that quality of life in the outer boroughs.
So if you were the mayor, you would kill the city of yes? I thought we need more housing.
We do. But, you know, there are 60,000 apartments that are warehoused. There are other apartments that are not being rented out in residential areas because tenant-landlord courts are a complete disaster.
Well, how are you going to fix that?
Well, you have to sit down with everybody and say, well, what are your problems? Why is it you're not releasing these apartments? Why are you sitting on 60,000? You have 60,000 apartments ready to be occupied, and yet they're being warehoused. Now, City of Yes...
By the way, that's only 80,000 apartments compared to the 60,000 that haven't been rented.
Right, in 15 years. And they claim that's going to be affordable. Come on, Marcia Kramer. Nothing's affordable in New York City. I know, talking to Cindy Adams, who has been here forever, told it, you know, the average studio apartment is $4,100. She said, $4,100? I said, yeah, that's just a studio apartment. There's nothing affordable in New York City. That's why the working class...
So what would you do? What would you do as mayor to build more housing if you don't like the City of Yes?
Well, you have to sit down, obviously, with the people who already have the available housing and say, what do you need to release those apartments? It's not serving you.
But 60,000 is a drop in the bucket. What are you going to do beyond that?
Right, but we need the 60,000 first.
Okay.
And then you can see in those locations where there is needed housing. And you have to make sure we have housing for the poor and the impoverished. I deal with the homeless and the veterans every day who are in the streets.
You do.
Eric Adams has served the needs of the migrants. If I'm a veteran and I'm homeless and I go to the Hotel Roosevelt and ask, please, one night alone, could I use a room? They tell me no. But if you're a migrant, you get everything. And that was Eric Adams who gave them everything.
So here's the question. If you became mayor, you would have to deal with the migrant situation. What would you do?
Well, first off, the President of the United States is correct. We have to get rid of those who have committed crimes here or those who committed crimes in their country of origin that were never properly vetted at the border. The other problem we have is we have countries that will not accept them back. Venezuela, Nicaragua.
So where do you put them?
Well, I trust that Donald Trump will sit down and negotiate with them a means of taking the bad who go through the criminal justice system, do their time here, and then get deported, as it always should have been. You know, we don't have a working relationship with ICE. You know who's responsible?
Would you reopen the ICE office at Rikers so that it would be easier for federal agents to deport people?
Absolutely. It should never have been closed. Who started that? Governor Cuomo. He called ICE thugs right here at CBS when he debated Molinaro for the governorship. He called them thugs twice. Eric Adams never contradicted that. We need to work with ICE because they were started after 9/11 to keep us safe and secure from terrorists, narco-terrorists, sex traffickers, and obviously illegal aliens who come here to commit crime.
But here's my question. Would you deport people who have been convicted and done time for a crime, or would you say if you've been arrested for a crime, even if you haven't been convicted, you're out of the country?
No, no. You have to have due process. Everybody's entitled to due process. Arrest, prosecute, if found guilty, they do their time in a jail, in a state prison or a federal penitentiary. Then a retainer is issued by ICE, and they're deported to their country of origin.
So what are you going to do to make things better for people who are worried about their pocketbook issues? Things are more expensive at the supermarket. People can't afford to live. That's the second concern that a lot of voters had in the presidential election.
Well, let's look at the day-to-day reality. 90,000 packages that are delivered to people in New York City are stolen every day. The mayor has admitted that. 90,000 packages that you're waiting for if you're doing cyber online buying. Then we have all of the shoplifting.
So what are you going to do about that?
Enforcement. Hire more cops. We only have 32,500 cops. We need 38,000. De Blasio took $1 billion out of the police budget. First priority, put it back. Eric Adams has never, ever tried to put $1 billion back.
But it's been difficult to recruit people. I think you know that.
Of course, it's difficult to recruit people because you don't let them be cops. And Eric Adams has not fought for the cops so that they can do their job. You have to take on this.
Wait a second. The city council passed all those regulations to make it more difficult.
Has Eric Adams challenged the city council? Has he issued executive orders which then forces them to go to court and to argue the merits of the case in court? No. He has been afraid to take on and name and shame Adrian Adams, the Speaker of the Council who has led this effort. He's afraid to name and shame Alvin Bragg, who is responsible for releasing all these criminals in the street. Eric Adams, he's the mayor. He's got to take on those that are standing in our way.
But wait a second. The one thing you have to say, though, is that Alvin Bragg was also enforcing laws that were passed by the state legislature, which made bail reform more, which passed bail reform laws. So he was following the state bail reform. So what you have to do is go to Albany and get Albany to make those changes.
So that brings up the next question. We have Andrew Cuomo, who wants to potentially run for mayor. He is responsible for no cash bail. He's responsible for vilifying ICE, for calling them thugs. So it starts at the top. It started with Andrew Cuomo. It goes to the state legislature. But Eric Adams refuses to take him on. He's never named and shamed Carl Hastie, the Assembly Speaker, Cousin Stewart's in the state Senate. We need a mayor who's going to fight for the people who are being victimized. With Eric Adams, he wants to remain friends with all of those who have been foes to law and order. You can't have it both ways. You have to have a mayor of the people. And right now, he's a mayor who's in limbo. He doesn't know 1 minute if he's a Democrat, Republican. I will tell you this, Marcia Kramer, an indictment can certainly do a lot to a person to cause them to pivot and shift.
And on that note, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. We'll have more right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Thank you for joining me. Some New Yorkers think the holidays in New York City are a magical time. Some, not so much. They're weighing in on your point. What's your favorite holiday dish?
My favorite holiday dish is sweet potatoes.
I love potato latkes for Hanukkah.
Roast duck.
What?
Roast duck.
Really?
I just like potatoes and they're filling.
I'll say rice and beans.
Garlic mashed potatoes.
Garlic mashed potatoes.
Yes.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti for holidays?
Yes.
I guess like macaroni and cheese, sweet potatoes, turkey again. My favorite holiday dish? Lechon. That's you know what it is?
Roast pork.
Well, look at you. Yes, and pasteles, arroz con gandules.
Oh, you're such a show-off.
I'm just saying, that's my Puerto Rican heritage.
What's the best thing about holidays in New York?
Oh, everything. Fifth Avenue, the lights, The Rockefeller Christmas tree, the windows, Bergdorf windows specifically.
The vibe, the weather.
I want to say the decorations and the people.
It's New York. What is it? Everything about New York is the best. Oh, here's the vibe. And I live in Harlem. I live in Uptown, so seeing the lights outside.
I guess the people out shopping and the parade.
So much to do, so much to see, so much to hear. It's fabulous.
People go away, and it's less crowded.
Oh, I actually just moved here today, so I guess I'll find out.
What's the worst thing about holidays in New York?
When you're trying to get somewhere and people are in your way.
The traffic. Other people come.
The crowds.
The crowds. Yeah, you want them to stay home.
Please.
Crowded. Everybody wants to be in the center of the universe, all at the same time.
Your apartment not being big enough to host too many people or have too many people over.
It's the cold weather. Now that I'm older, I want to go somewhere warm.
The shopping?
You don't like to shop?
No, I hate shopping.
Why?
Yeah, the lines, the craziness.
What's your favorite holiday tradition?
I like putting up the Christmas tree after Thanksgiving.
Well, my favorite holiday tradition is usually we go to church Christmas Eve, and we have ham.
Having everybody around the table. My favorite holiday tradition is going to see the tree.
Okay.
It's got to be my favorite. It has to be.
I do a lot of cat sitting, and just playing with cats when people are away is wonderful.
The mistletoe.
The mistletoe. Who do you kiss?
Whoever's under it.
So you don't discriminate, huh?
I don't discriminate.
I really like staying up till midnight and opening gifts at midnight.
I make my grandmother's chicken matzo ball soup better than she did.
When can I come over? No, just
Anytime you like.
Thanks so much.
Just don't bring too many people because there's not enough room.